"They're mine," said Mrs. Knight. "Then we shall eat you all up, one each," said the bears. Of course they were only teasing, but they rolled their yellow eyes and growled and looked so fierce that Mr. Bliss was frightened. And so was Mr. Day and Mrs. Knight. So they gave the bears the cabbages and the bananas. Archie and Teddy piled them on the donkey and took them away to their house in the wood. Bruno sat and talked to Mr. Bliss. Really, he was watching to see Mr. Bliss did not drive away before Archie and Teddy came back. When they came back, the bears said, "Now, we want a motor ride." "But I'm going to see the Dawkinses," said Mr. Bliss, "and you don't know them." "But we could know them," said Archie. So Mr. Bliss had to let them all get in at the back, and there was such a squash that Mrs. Knight had to sit in front by Mr. Bliss, and he was so squeezed he could hardly steer. Then they started off again, and came out of the wood to the top of the hill, because the road ran straight up it and down the other side. The poor donkey was tied on behind again. He did not much mind at first, because with 6 inside, the motor did not go very fast uphill, but when they came to the top of the hill and began to go down, because the Dawkinses lived at the bottom, it was very different. Mr. Bliss was so squeezed by Mrs. Knight he could not put on the brakes. Soon they began to whiz, and the donkey was dragged, flying through the air. Faster and faster they ran, until they crashed, plump, into the Dawkinses' garden wall. They all shot out, head first, and flew over the wall, all except the donkey, who turned somersault into the car. The Dawkinses were the other side of the wall, sitting on their beautiful lawn on little stools. They were eating soup out of little bowls, and their lovely carpet was spread on the grass. They were fat people, but one of them was specially fat, and he was known as the Fat Dawkins, or just Fatty. He had curly black hair, and wore no coat, because he split coats when he tried to get into them, so he went about in a white shirt with yellow spots and no sleeves. The second fattest Dawkins was called Albert. His legs were very short. Herbert looked so horrified because he has just swallowed a beetle that got into his soup. Egbert also looks cross, because there is another beetle on the lovely carpet. But Albert looked much more horrified a second later, and the beetle was squashed very flat. Not by Egbert. It was just then that Mr. Bliss and all his party fell out of the sky onto the Dawkinses, the soup, the beetle, and the lovely carpet. Mr. Bliss fell face downwards on the beetle. Mr. Day knocked Albert over and stood on his head on the lovely carpet. Bruno sat down, bump. Teddy sat on Herbert. Mrs. Knight sent Egbert over backwards. But Archie put his head bang through the lid of the tureen, and soup splashed all over him, and got into both his eyes. The Dawkinses were quite bowled over, and angry. Fatty was least angry, because nobody had fallen on him. Though he lost his third helping of soup, he laughed very loud. That only made Albert all the angrier. "Next time you come," he said to Mr. Bliss, "go to the front door and ring, and don't throw people out of a balloon onto our picnic." "We didn't come in a balloon. I brought my friends in a motor car, and we left it at the gate." "Thank goodness," said Egbert. "A motor car on the lovely carpet would have been too much to bear. I believe one of your friends is sitting on a beetle." Then Mrs. Knight jumped up with a shriek, although she had been lying on her back, crying, "Oh, my bananas! Oh, my bones are broken!" She would not sit down till Mr. Bliss showed her the beetle, squashed on his front. By that time Archie had licked himself clean of soup. Mr. Day had found his hat and was sitting up again, and Bruno